Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to go over using some style sheets to style some text. Here we go. So I've got a blank page set up here at the moment, and got my doc type definition, got the head section which contains my character encoding meta, title for the page, and I've got a meta description and a meta keywords in there. And let's see, I'll go ahead and put another meta in. There we go. Put in the author meta. And now I'm going to work in the body of the page. Now I've already got a generic container set up, and I want to go ahead and put in some things that I can format. Let's see, I'm focusing on text today, so I won't worry too much about structural elements and things like that. But I will go ahead and put in a headline 1, and I'll put in styling text with CSS as my headline 1. And I'll go ahead and put in a paragraph. Okay. Styling text with CSS is pretty easy, as long as you know the CSS properties to use. There we go. So a little paragraph, little headline 1 action. And let's see, let's go and do something else. How about I'll put in an unordered list. And we'll go ahead and put in a few items. Alright, so now I've got an unordered list, and if I were to look at this right now on my web page, here's my browser with my web page. I'll hit refresh. And there we go. I've got my headline, I've got my paragraph of text, and I have my unordered list. Let's go ahead and start to add a little bit of style to this. I'm a big fan of external style sheets, but I think for this one I'm going to use some internal styles. So my internal styles go in the head section within a set of style tags. And I'm going to be using what are called type selectors. Some people call them tag selectors. And basically I want to manipulate a particular tag. All right? I'm going to start off with manipulating the body tag. And for that I'll simply do a background color. And I'll do ABC. It's a light shade of bluish gray that I like. And I'm going to go ahead and put in font family. And for font family, I'm going to go ahead and put in Verdana. And really, font family is the first element or first CSS property that I'm using right now that does focus on type. And the font family property will indicate to the browser that I want to use the Verdana font. Where do I want to use it? I want to use it on the body of the page. Now often if you see someone using font family, you might see a couple fonts in here. I could see something like Verdana, comma, Arial, comma, sans serif. So if I do something like this, that means I really want the Verdana font. But if a person doesn't have the Verdana font on their computer, then it's going to load the Arial font. And if they don't have the Arial font, then it's going to load whatever default sans serif font they have. And remember, there's two broad categories of fonts. There's serif and there's sans serif. Let me jump over and give you a quick little example. Okay. So a serif font is like this one here, and you can see how the letter M has these little flags on the end, or these little feet. Those are serifs. You can see it on the letter D at the top and at the base. You can see it at the base of the letter I. Those are serifs, therefore this is a serif font. The one right next to it is also a serif font. You can tell by those little ends of the letters. Serif fonts are more ideal for print. And there's a little example that actually points to them specifically. Now let's compare it to a sans serif font. The font at the top is sans serif, the one at the bottom is serif, and you can see the sans serif font does not have those little bases or feet or flags at the ends of the letters. Sans serif fonts, or without serif, those tend to be more popular for electronic media and computer screens and things like that. Now as our computer screen resolutions get better, some of those rules will change. Obviously, if you have an ebook reader that's an electronic screen, but I'm willing to bet you're probably looking at a serif font on those. But for the most part, web pages still heavily rely on sans serif fonts, where printed documents tend to rely on serif fonts. by default, I have a serif font. You can see it right on the ends of the letters. Now, when I hit the refresh, oh, nothing. Oh, there we go. When I hit the refresh, my background color changed, but now my font is sans serif. Verdana and Arial are both sans serif fonts. And yeah, that's pretty good for now. How about if I also change the color, though? I'll change the color to really dark gray instead of black. There we go. Can't really even tell the difference. Okay, so I've got the color of my font set, I've got the font family set, and I've got the background color of the body of the page. Now I'm going to manipulate my heading 1 a bit here. So I'm going to use another type selector. In this case, I'm going to manipulate heading 1, and I'll change a couple things about it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do font weight normal. Now by default, headings are bold. So my heading is bold. By doing font weight normal, I'm going to take away the bold status. So if I go to my browser and refresh, my heading is now normal, not bold. So I would do just the opposite if I wanted to bold something. I'd do font weight bold. So I've got font weight normal. I'm going to do a text align center, which as you imagine is going to center my text. And I'm also going to do font style italic. There we go. So now my text is centered and italicized. So those are some basic text styling techniques. Let me jump down to that paragraph real quick. I've got a paragraph in here. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do text indent to M. What is M, huh? Oh, and you really can't see it here. It did get indented, but it didn't stand out to you. Let me do this. I'm just going to copy some text here. I know it's a little messy looking. Don't be put off by that. I just wanted to make a multiple line paragraph, and now you can clearly see what text indent does. M is a unit of measurement. It's the width of a capital letter M. So it's a pretty common unit of measurement in web design. 2 M's. 2 widths of capital M's. Let's try another one here. What about line height? 1.5. Watch what happens when I hit my refresh on my browser. There we go. So now I have more line height. Alright, so that's some basic text formatting. Let's try something else. What if, I'll go to my unordered list. I'll manipulate that a little bit. So I'll use another type selector. List items. Okay, and I'm already controlling a bunch of different things. What about this one? What about if I do, I'm going to change this selector a little bit. I'm going to do list item first letter. Okay, and I'll put in color red, font weight bold. Let's see how that's going to look. There we go, the first letter of each list item. And maybe it doesn't look as cool as you might have thought. So, but that's something we can do. This is a special kind of selector. It's called a pseudo class, and there's quite a few of them, and I'll play around with more in other tutorials. But this is how I could control the first letter of my list items. I could, of course, also control the first letter of my paragraphs. If I can spell it here. There we go, first letter. And I could do something, like something really big, like font size 400%. Oops. There we go. And I could do something like display block and float left. Let's see how this looks. Kind of messy, but it's on track to how I might start to create a drop cap feature, something like that. Take that first letter. Of course, my text indent is throwing things off, so if I got rid of text indent, And if I spent a little bit more time with styling, I can make it look a little bit nicer, but that'd be kind of like a drop cap feature using first letter. You can also do first word and first line. Okay, I'm going to go back to my headline 1 real quick, heading 1, and I'll go ahead and put in letter spacing, and I'll put in 1em. Let's see how that looks. Kind of far out there, but you could also put in pixels in there too. And I'll do one more. Text transform, and let's do uppercase. There we go. Now all my letters are uppercase. So there's a lot of fun you can have with this, and basically it's just learning what the CSS properties are to manipulate text, and then you decide how do you want that text to look. There's a really kind of a large movement going on with what's called typography, which is artistic web design, or particularly artistic design by using font faces and font types. So people that are more artistic might investigate a little bit of that in Google. If you just typed in typography, there we go. Now I'm doing an image search right now, but these are examples of people creating art out of text. And it's not just necessarily pictures and things like that, but it's a way that you can use text and design in order to get that image, that idea across. And it's kind of cool and modern, so it's something to consider doing. And of course you can do a lot of this with styles. You could rotate text, you can change some of the letters a different color, you can have some letters overlap others, you can use really big text combined with small text. So as you're playing around with your CSS properties for text, kind of look out there on the web for examples, ideas of things you can try, and then put them into action. Have fun.